Hi, I'm Don, and this is The Hobbyist Geek. Welcome back, y'all. So today we're starting a brand new project. I can't wait. This is the ROKR Cuckoo Clock. This thing looks incredible. I can't wait to get started on it. So why don't we just bring you guys in, we'll take a look at the packaging, see what comes inside, and get started on this build. Alrighty, so here is the packaging, and look at this product image. Looks spectacular. Clearly got some lights. I know from the ads there's a little bird up here that's going to come out and coo at us, and it should be a fully functional clock as well. Not sure what all of these are. Obviously music, lights, 14 plus, no idea what that is. And there's our little bird. That looks great. Lots of, I'm guessing Chinese on the box. I hope the instructions have English, but there is English on here as well, so I assume so. On the back side, all of the little descriptions for whatever this features are in Chinese as well, so I don't know what to say on this. There's not much I can really comment on. So let's just get the cellophane off and see what is inside this puppy. All right. I like it when the cellophane comes straight off, man, and they didn't actually glue it to the package. Let's see here. There's, oh, looks like, no. Wow, this box does not want to come open. There we go. Woo. That was a tough one. Okay. We have our instructions, and all right, looks about as clear as all the other ROKR instructions, and we've got our parts list right here. Very, very nice. Here's our wood, and we'll pull this out and lay it across the table later. Look at this. Holy crap. Screws, screwdriver. Looks like some spacers in there. Little string? Okay. There's a spring in there. Little plastic gear. Got some of our electronics here. Switches and whatnot. And very nice. Haha. Look at that. You even got to put the bird together. So, little bird on the plastic sprues. Ooh, our clock hands. These look metal, so that's nice. But we're gonna have to put these together as well. Ooh, I can't wait. And some more plastic bits. More plastic bits. Here's our little motor. The electronic circuit board. Look at that thing. Very, very nice. All right. Battery box, speaker, and whatever the heck this is. Got no idea. All right. Let me go ahead and do the prep work. Now, normally I would say test the electronics, but being as this is a clock, I got no idea what that is. I mean, it almost looks like an electromagnet. I'm not sure if I want to plug all of this stuff in to give it a run. I'll take a look at the instructions, see if they specify how I might be able to test this. Otherwise, we're going to have to go and hope that works. We'll do a little inspection on the wood, and we'll be right back. Alrighty, we got our wood laid out here and things are looking great. Now there are big holes here. I don't know if there's any missing parts. I hope not. Sometimes when they got big gaps like this, they'll put little parts inside, but these are just holes for the moment. So hopefully no parts were supposed to be in there. But look at this. I mean, you got your browns, your greens. I like the little Wonderland logo there. This has got to be the base. That looks great. Looks basically the same kind of color scheme as the little Santa's Workshop thing we did. But all in all, this looks pretty freaking good. I like it. I like it a lot. And of course, all the plastic and mechanical bits that we've already covered. All right. I don't see any major cracks other than the gaps here. It doesn't seem to be missing pieces. Hopefully there are none. I'm going to go through the inventory, make sure we got everything, and then we can get started. All right, y'all, for a quick little update here, it looks like we are going to be building the mechanism right off the bat here, but there's a big issue. See, after we get it all assembled, it looks like we're going to be doing some testing and stuff. However, all of this is in Chinese. I have no idea what any of this says or, you know, really what we're supposed to do. I'm just going to have to go pictures since there's not a lot of English here. So I will do my best. Fingers crossed. All right, and last but not least, got some 600 grit sandpaper to finish off some of these wood pieces. Got some Impressa wood lubricant if required. I don't think this is going to be necessary this time. It seems all the moving parts are going to be plastic, so we probably won't need this. And some Eileen's tacky glue just in case, but most of the ROKR pieces I've done do not require glue, so we should be okay there too. All right, let's see how we start this thing. All right, step one looks easy enough. We're gonna take this little motor here. This is P25. And then we have our circuit board, which is P24. And this plug here is gonna go into that port right there on the back of this thing. So let's go ahead and get that in. There we go, nice and tight. All right, now we're gonna take our motor with the cables facing up, and it's gonna go into P28 here, into this big gap right there, just like that. And we're gonna take our circuit board here, and that is going to go into this gap. Now, right here is a little piece of plastic to help hold it up, and then this here is actually a clip. So we should be able to slide this in like this, and we can use this clip to let it slip down and hold it in place. And you can see these ports here will match up with the plastic. So let me go ahead and get this all the way in. Bingo. All right. And we should be good. And that is step one. Alrighty, and here are the parts that we're gonna need for step two. Well, I should say step one, section two. All right, we're gonna kick things off with K1 here. We're gonna flip it upside down. Now, when you're cutting these out, make sure that the edges are very smooth where you break it from the sprue. So sand it down if you need to. I did. We're going to flip it upside down. You can tell it's got the little post on the bottom here. And we're going to need 2 of these little K19s here. And you can see there's a little hook on one end. Well, maybe you can't. A little hook on one end. That hook should be, well, facing up when it's in this position. And what we're going to do is take the ring, put it around the post, and then we're going to take a second one of these P19s, put it around the post, much like this, and then we're going to use a P12 screw in the top to hold everything in place. All right, should look a bit like this when you're done. And now we'll flip it back right side up so those hooks are on the bottom here. We're going to take this, we're going to slide it into this assembly along the top here, just like that. Look at that, very nice. And this is why you have to sand it. You definitely want that nice, smooth motion there. And now we're going to take P15 here. We got P3, that's this little screw, or excuse me, spring, sorry. We're just going to put that spring on there. And then we're going to take K3. We're going to pop this thing on top, letting it compress that screw, and push it all the way until it clicks in place so that it's held nice and securely. Then we're going to place it in here. Now this hole right here is going to go on this post. This little post right there needs to go right there into this slot right there. So let's go ahead and make that happen. There we go. Just like that. And then right in the top, we've got another P12 screw to hold it in place. Bingo. Look at that. Awesome. All right, let's see what's next. All right, here's what we're going to need for this next section. We're going to kick things off with P6 here. And basically what's going to happen is you've got those 2 little posts in the fork right there. Those are going to go into these slots right here with this, which has also got a magnet in it. Going over top of this, which I believe is an electromagnet. So let's pop that in. Should just clip right in. There we go. Look at that. All right. Now we need to assemble our bird. So we're going to start with, what is this, L8. And then we'll go with L10, and this bit here should just slide right in. Oh, look at that. There's little holes in there and little pins, so it should snap in place, not slide in. Let's see if we can do that. All right, there we go. And now the wing can be positioned outward, much like that, or all the way down. All right, that in place. Basically going to do the same thing with L7 and L9. So let's get those in place. Perfect. All right, now we're going to take this, excuse me, and we've got L11. And it looks like L11, this little pin here is going to go through that big hole. So let's get this in. Ah, now I get it. There's a little tab right here, and this hook will go on, and see, it moves it, the wing up. Okay. Very nice. Though there doesn't seem to be any mechanism for the wing to go down, and it doesn't really go down on its own. Well, I guess we'll have to see what happens when we assemble it all. All right, so with that in place, now we're going to take L6 here, and that'll go onto this front post with this little post right there going into that slot on L11. Okay. Oh wait, I guess this will open. Yeah, so it opens the mouth a little bit. Very nice. Okay, cool. Cool. And now that we've got that in place, we will cover it with our other half. Should pop in place, I think. Let's find out. All right, here we go. Look at that. Big problem though is, as I expected, this and this are moving just fine. This one does not want to close properly. All right, well, let me play with this. May need a little sand, may need a little lube, maybe just a little bit of an alignment. Let me see what I can do. Well, y'all, sadly, I cannot seem to get this to go down on its own no matter what I do. I guess I just have a poorly molded piece. Hopefully yours will be better, but I guess we are in a position where we can move on. This plug here will go into that hole right there. All right, that is a very tight fit, but we got it in. All right. And yeah, well, yeah, see, there we go. That's what's supposed to happen. Except that this wing is just not moving the way it's supposed to. And there is sadly nothing I can do about it, but the rest of the mechanism seems to be okay. So there we go. We can leave it like that for now. And with that in place, what we'll do is we'll take K2 here. You can see these little hooks. Well, those will slide into this. So it should go like that. All right, this is P27. We got two big posts here, and we've got our little slider hooks. The slider hooks will go around this, and these two holes here for the posts should be a nice, neat, easy fix. There we go. Beautiful. And in these two holes here and here, we're going to be using P10 screws. So let me go ahead and get those in. All right. There we go. Let's see what's next. Alrighty, here's what we're going to need for the next series of steps. We're going to kick things off with K4 here. When you're looking at the front, the pins will be on the left, and this big tab here in the back will be, well, in the back. And what you're going to want to do is pull your bird out, and you've got these two hooks here. Those are for those big tabs. So basically what you're going to want to do is take your door, take one of those hooks, and there's a little hole in there. And you're going to hook it through, much like that. And then you can bring the door over and pop the pins into these little things here, just like that. And now we're going to do the same thing for the other side with K5. Bingo, just like that. Now with that done, we'll close the doors so our little birdie's hiding inside again. Awesome. All right. Now with that done, on the top, you'll notice there are two little holes here and here. And we have G16. It's got two square holes, two round holes. Those round holes will go over these holes in the plastic, and we're going to be using two more of these P10 screws to hold it in place. Beautiful. With that done, we're going to take our speaker here. We're going to place it in just like that. Make sure the cable is coming out to the right when the doors are facing towards you. Basically on the side where these ports are. And you can take G15 here and plug it into those two holes. Just like that. Then we'll take this and that'll get plugged into the small port right here. All right, just like that. Very nice. Now we're going to take P17, that is the red and white cable here, and one end is going to plug into this right here. So let's go ahead and make that happen. There we go, just like that. Now we've got our battery box. You can see we've got some numbered ports here and a very big port right there. Port number 5 is where the other end of this cable goes. So let's go ahead and get that in. All right, perfect. We're going to take one of these. This is P16. There are actually two of them. We're only going to take one, and that'll go into port 4. We have P18, the green and white. That'll go into port 3. Then we have our light strip. This is P15. That will go into port 2. And we have our other switch right here, the other P16, that will go into port 1. We have our clock here. This is, what is this? P26. Okay, that's going to go into the big hole in top. Okay. Now we have this. This is P14. This has got a regular port here and a USB-C on the back. That will go into the other end of P18, the green and white cable. So let's get that plugged in. And I believe we're ready to test. Now the battery box takes 3 AAA batteries. And then of course there's this USB-C thing. I can't read the instructions, so I don't know if this will operate solely on USB-C or if you need the batteries. Let's find out. Got my USB-C battery here. Let's plug this thing in. Okay. Try the switches, see if that works. I don't know if it will. Let's see. Whoop. Look at that. Ha 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 ha! Okay, that's pretty awesome. Let's try the other switch. Look at that. Look at that. All right. I don't know if this is operating or if there's something else that needs to be done. I can't tell if it's turning or not. This clearly is not working, but none of this has been really connected yet. So I think we're good on our electronics testing. All right. Also note, works just fine on USB-C power only. So I'm not going to bother putting batteries into this just yet. I'll do that later whenever I'm done and ready to put it standalone. But for now, we know how to test. All right, let's see what's next. Alrighty, here are the pieces that we're going to need to begin step 3. By the way, if you haven't already, make sure you disconnect all of the electronics. We just connected them for testing purposes. We're going to need to disconnect them for assembly. Don't worry, we'll get them back in touch with each other before this is over. Now, you should note these are D14s and D15s. They're effectively the same piece, just reversed, only painted on one side, so it is important to know which you are using for any given step. We're going to kick things off with D20 here on the unpainted side facing up, okay? And we're going to take D14 here. That's going to come in from underneath, right in here. Just like that. Then we have a D15 that'll go in the front. Just like that. And you can see the longer of the tabs is sticking up there. Now we're going to repeat that over here with D14 in the front and 15 on the side. Just like that. We'll set that down for the moment, and we're going to pull out D22 here. And again, flip it upside down, and we're going to do exactly the same thing with D15 coming in here, then 14 right next to it, and then reversed for over here. And there you go, look at that, beautiful. Now, we're going to take out E1, and with these assemblies like this, E1 is effectively going to sit on top, and those tabs that are sticking out will come into these corners there. So let's go ahead and get that in. There we go, just like that. So now we have our base. Awesome. Let's see what's next. All right, here's what we're gonna need for the next part of step 3. I'm gonna kick things off with D7. And we also need P16 here, and yeah, there we go. Okay. Let's go with D7 here. You see these 2 little holes right there? Well, there are 2 little holes in this, and those should line up. And then D5 would go on the other side. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this. I think, yeah, it goes like this. So make sure these tabs are sticking up, and this is, the switch part is facing down. And this will go like this. This is going to be fun. And we've got 2 of these P8 bolts that'll come through. And then through here, if it can. There we go. We'll do the same thing with this. There we go. And then screw it onto here. Yeah, it's not complicated at all, is it? All right, So you should have something that looks like this with the switch right there on the flat side. Okay, and you got your cable coming out the back on the short end. All right, now with that in place, we're gonna take this. This is J15. This is actually a little tool. Obviously it's got a little bit of a ruler, got some holes, which I'm sure will come in handy later. And this end here is for pushing parts in or out of the sprues if necessary. But what we're focused on right now is this little bit right here. Now you can take one of these. This is P7, which is just this little clear washer. And basically put that right in there in the wide end of the hole. Just like that. And now we have P1. This is the 20 millimeter long post. We're going to push it through all the way in. And you'll see there's that little gap right there so that you can get just perfect on your spacing. Now with that in place, what we're going to do is take J6 here, and that is going to come in from this end, and that hole there should line up with this hole. We'll push this in from the bottom through all three pieces. Bingo, just like that. Okay? And that is where the other washer is going to come into play. So we're going to push this in here. And then we will push it on here. Bingo. Perfect. Look at that. All right. Now we're going to bring this thing out. We're going to flip it over. And the way this is showing is the two tabs here on the longer end are going to go into these two holes. That doesn't make any sense. Something about this. Oh, wait, that's why. Okay. It's not these two tabs, it's these tabs. These smaller ones here. Okay. The instructions are a little unclear there. Those will go into these two holes, and then these two at the back will go into these two holes. Make sure the cable goes through the big central hole right there so you don't get it all pinched. All right, should look like that when you're done. And you can kind of test a little bit by pushing this and making sure that it clicks. Mine does. And we've got our cable coming out the top. Beautiful. Let's see what's next. Alrighty, here are the parts we're going to need for the next steps. I'm going to bring out our base again, and you may notice here and here there are little slots on either side. Well, we have two of these A7s that are going to slide in there to help lock everything in place. Just like that. Wonderful. All right, now what we're going to do is take J5 here, and we're going to push it through the big hole in J4, just like this. And then we've got J3, which will go underneath. So you end up with something that looks like this. And then that big tab right there is going to go into this hole right here. Just like that. Next up, we're going to take J7, and those two little holes there are going to go onto the two tabs on our switch here. Make sure the ROKR logo is facing up. Got to give the manufacturer some credit here, you know. There we go, look at that. All right, next up we have J12, which is going to slide in right here, just like that. This cross here is going to go into the little grooves that are right there, so should be fine. Then we've got J14, and notice this nice little crack design here. That is supposed to be facing upwards, so that'll go onto the two big posts, just like that. And then we have J13 to cover up the top. And look at that. We have made our stairs complete with the little hidden button for the mechanism. Wonderful. Alrighty, here's what we'll need for the next steps. First up, we're going to take J26 here, and you can see one end's got a bit of a shorter brick to it. That's going to face towards the rear of the piece, and it's going to come in somewhere. I have no idea where. It looks like here, maybe here? Looks, yeah, here we go. Okay. So not the two holes here in the front, but the two right behind it. There, just like that. And then D27 is gonna, J27, sorry. It's gonna go right here. Close the gap. Very nice. All right, now we have two of these D21 pieces. What I cannot tell is which side is painted in the image and which one isn't. I'm going to guess the painted side goes out, since that seems to be the case for everything. They're going to go into these two slots right here, and there's an arrow on there. That arrow needs to face down. So make sure this tab that's got this little split is what's going into the base here. All right, should look like that when you're done. Now as for this cable here, that's actually going to come through the gap over here, okay? So don't let it sit on top and get pinched, and it does not come out over on this side. It comes out of the right side when the stairs are facing towards you. And with that said, we can take J2 and J1. J1 will go right in here, painted side forward, just like that. And then this will sit down. These two slots will go onto the D21s we just placed. Bingo, just like that, with our cable coming out of the side here. Over here in, is it this slot? No, I think it's this slot. This slot right here. That is where B28 is going to go. There we go. Yes, it'll come out the bottom a little bit. We will follow that up with D8 here. And that short end of D8 will go into the cross right here. Just like that. Maybe I can get a little more in there. There we go. And we'll follow that up with H17, which will go into this slot right here. Just like that. It is coming along. All right, with this done, you can take the cable. You can see this little slot with the hole there. that is where it's going to come. So we'll just kind of slide it in best we can to get it captured. Boom, just like that. All right, here we go for the next section. We're going to kick things off with H22. If you look very, very closely, and I hope this is showing up on camera, there are 4 little circles at 4 corners. We have 4 of these C20s, and they're going to go into the slots where those circles happen to be. Make sure the painted side is facing all in the same direction. According to the instructions, it'll be right here. That'll be the painted side, not this, okay? So we're gonna hold it in this orientation, and we're gonna get all 4 of these in. There we go, just like that. All right. Now we have 12 of these C19s, and they're gonna fill in the rest of the slots all around. All right, and that is what we're left with. Heck, it almost looks like we're building an Iron Man arc reactor, doesn't it? I know that's not true, but that would be cool. All right, now we're gonna take H24. And we've got 2 of these H23s, and we're gonna put them on opposite slots here. All right, should look like that. I don't know if the painted side matters. It looks like they're both facing up, but it is not marked. Now we've got 2 of these H25s, and you'll notice there's a little arrow on one end. Make sure that arrow is facing right in both cases, and it will go like this, just like that. All right, with that in place, we're going to take H15 here, and on the unpainted side, these 4 tabs are going to go through there, not the sides with the arrows. There we go. Make sure you push it all the way through so that they're sticking out a little bit here, because we have H26, and that's going to go and cover up those tabs, just like that. Now if you'll notice, there are these 4 holes here, and we have 4 tabs on the unpainted side here that will go in them. So let's go ahead. This is from those C20s that we put in, the first 4. Those have the tabs on them. So this is what we're left with for now. All right, let's move on. All right, here's what we're gonna need to continue this build. We're gonna kick things off by taking this assembly, and we have another H15 that'll go right on top here. Again, making sure that the posts here go into the big holes, or the holes on the edges, and then those 4 line up in the center. Bingo, look at that. All right, with all that in place, we have H16, and these 2 slots are going to go onto the 2 larger posts that are sticking out there. Bingo, look at that. Now, we have P2. This is the 45 millimeter post. And we have 3 of these P7s, the clear washers. We're going to start by putting one in, spaced just like we did with the first post. Bingo, just like that. But now, we're going to take a second one and put it on top and make it flush. There we go. Excellent. We're going to take this piece here, and from the back side, and you can tell it's back because this is flush with the wheel. This has a little space on the side, so this is definitely the back side. we're going to push this post through that center hole, and on this side we're going to take the third clear washer and we're going to put it on and make it flush with the post here. Bingo. Just like that. Now we're going to bring our base back out, and the wheel is going to go into here. You can see right here and here you get little slots. That is for our post here, so that this can spin freely. Just like that. Spectacular. Now we have E2, and that's going to slide in just behind the wheel and in between the wheel and this here, and this slot is for that post. So it should go in nice and neat. There are 2 slots right there for it to go into. Just like that. Now, in this slot right there and this slot here, we have these A24s. We got 2 of them, one for each of those slots. So let's get those in. There you go. Look at that. Man, that's actually really cool. And it spins very, very, very well. Great. All right, let's see what's next. All right, for this next section, which will close off step 4, we're going to take A25 here. We've got A23, which will go on this rear tab right here. There we go. We have A32, which will go into the very small hole right there. All right, that was a lot harder to get in than I had thought it would be. A27 here, big hole, tab right there. Will come in just like this. All right, look at that. Then we've got A26 for these 2 tabs on the edge. Go just like that. And finally, we've got J8. Those 2 tabs on the bottom will go into the 2 holes in the center of this piece. I'm guessing this is supposed to be water. Why it's not blue is a mystery to me. There we go, just like that. We'll bring this puppy back out. And you'll note we have 3 holes right there. I don't know if that's showing up. I think so. 3 holes right there. We got 3 tabs right here. Pretty self-explanatory where they're all gonna go. Booyah, look at that. There we go. And that is the end of step 4. Awesome. Alrighty, y'all, here are all the parts that we're gonna need for step 5. Kick things off by pulling out D1. Look at that beauty. And now we've got Nope, that's not them. These are D19s. Okay, we need 2 of them. What we're going to do is bring them in from the back and make sure that this little pinhole is facing towards the door. They're going to go right on the top here, just like this. And we'll do the same on the other side, just like this. Beautiful. Next up, we're going to take A28. We've got 2 of these, and those will go right on those pinholes we just created, or on those pins we just created. Boom. Look at that. And then we will cover those with C10. Just like that. It's looking pretty good, isn't it? Now, These are A33. We got two of those. And again, coming in from the back in these two long holes under the window. Just gonna shove that thing through. We're gonna do the same on both sides. All right, there we go, nice and in. Two big posts on either side. Beautiful. And now we're gonna take D2. We got two of these. Those are gonna go right on those posts. Look at that. How easy. Now for some fun stuff. All right, we've got C17 here and two of these D16s. Now the D16s, you got these two pins here. That'll go through the center hole, just like that. And then that will go into these holes here on the left-hand window. Look at that. All right, now we're gonna do exactly the same thing with C18 and two more D16s for the right-hand side. Look at that. All right, now we're gonna take another C18 and we need two of these D17As. And again, these pins will go through that hole, just like that. But here's where things get a little different. Those little hooks, those will go into these slots right there. Just like that. Now we're gonna do the same thing on the other side with C17 and two of these D17Bs. There we go. All right, now we've got two of these B14s. Those will go right here and then again on the other side, just like that. And now we're gonna cover them with B15, just like that. Now we've got A15 here. That's gonna go through that center hole from the back. There we go, just like that. And on the little peg we've created, we've got D16 to go through that center hole up top. All right. And we're gonna come around to the back side here. And we have, what is this? This is D13 here. And with the painted side facing the front. So this is coming in from the back. So these slots are gonna match up with these big tabs here. And this will just go like this. And now we have D12 for the other side. There we go, just like that. Now my guess is that so it looks like there's curtains in there. If you want to open these windows, or the window shutters, I should say, because they do open, but they don't open easily. This is fairly tight here, so I don't know how often I want to be doing that. And I kind of like the closed window look, but to each their own. Now we've got two of these J25s here, and that little T peg is going to come up into this slot here. We got another one right there, just like that. Spectacular. Then we're going to bring this puppy in. This is going to come down in here, and this slot right here is going to go into that slot right there. And then you've got these two tabs here and here for these right there. So let's go ahead and get all of that together. All right, come on. You can't tell me that doesn't look spectacular. That is awesome. Very cool. All right, let's see what's next. Alrighty, here are all the parts that we're gonna need for step 6. This should be awesome. We're gonna kick things off with F14 here. And we have two of these E14s. And it looks like, yeah, okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna place this top peg into this hole here, and the bottom one should slide into this gap. Just like that. We'll do that for the same thing for the second one. Just like that. On the back side, you can see we've got the 4 pegs here, and that is where D18 comes, and we've got these 4 holes. So let's see if we can't make that happen. Bingo, look at that. All right, then we're gonna take J10 and A18. Now, there's this big thin post here that's going to go into that hole right there, and then these other 2 holes will go in here. Now this is going to have to curve ever so slightly. Be careful you don't crack the wood. Just so you know, there are spares for both the J10 and the A18, just in case you do make a mistake. All right. Look at that. That went on nice and smooth. Now these 2 holes right here, those are going to go onto these 2 posts. So let's go ahead and get that in. Just like that. Spectacular. Now we've got a 19, and that will also go onto those 2 posts, and we've got this 3rd little slot for up there. Bingo. Okay, next up we have J21, and those little T's will go into these bottom slots just like before. Boom. All right, now we'll bring this puppy back out again, and this is going to go right here. You got 3 tabs on the bottom, you got the 3 holes right there. Look at that. All right, to finish this off, we have 2 E16s. Now these are actually facing opposite directions. You're going to want to make sure when you put them together the painted sides are facing out. And we have 3 of these C8s. So what we're going to do is on these 3 pegs, I'm going to put 1 C8 on each. And of course the same for the other side. We're making some stairs here. And just all the way up. There we go, nice set of stairs. And these 2 pegs on the bottom, go in these 2 holes right there. Just like that. Spectacular. All right, let's see what's next. Alrighty, here are all the parts that we're gonna need for step 7. This one should be fun. Well, I take that back. There's actually one other part. You're gonna need your light bead string as well. So we'll set that. That doesn't come in until a little bit later, but that's cool. All right, we're gonna kick things off with E6. Look at that beauty. Now we have 2 E7s, and those are going to come in from behind in these slots here and here. There we go. Look at that. All right, now on the front side we've got A20 here, and we're going to follow that up with C5. All right, just like that. Now we're going to take C14, and we've got C38 here, and we're going to push this in. That tab will go into the top hole on the wider end here. Just like that. We're going to follow that up with C39 for the back side, with this tab going into the bottom hole. Bingo. And now we got to build another one of these. Same part numbers. All right. And now that we have 2, bring this back out, and in these 2 holes on either side, is where they will plug in. Just like that. All right. Now we're going to take A35 here, and we've got 4 of these A15s. They'll come in from behind in all 4 of those holes. There we go, just like that. With that in place, we've got 2 of these C9s, and those are going to go into those holes. Or excuse me, onto the pegs that we just put in. All right, just like that. Look at that. And now we've got 2 D3s. Those will go onto these 2 pegs here. This time make sure that the hook is facing forward. So it's going to go like this. Should look like that when you are done. Now we're going to bring this back out. Those little pegs there are actually going to go into those holes from behind. And it looks like what we're really going to want to do is kind of get the door through first, then we'll line it up and push those pegs in. There we go. So now the door can open and close. Very nice. Then we're going to take this A15, and we've got D4. A15 is going to come through this hole in the top from the front, just like that. And the peg on the back will go through that center hole there. All right, just like that. Okay, J11 here, more T pegs for the bottom. There we go. We can bring this back out, and this will go on the back side. So there are 2 little holes right there, and that is for those 2 pegs. Just like that. Make sure you don't trap your cable. Okay. Now we're going to want to take E13 and these 2 more A15s. Now the A15s are going to go into these 2 holes here from the bottom, with E13 plugging into them from the top. So let's go ahead and get those in. All right, so here and here is where the A15s went. And of course we have our pegs on the top now for this puppy. All right, there we go. I'm not sure if direction matters here. This kind of looks like what it's got in the instructions, but it's hard to tell. Either way, it fits and it looks good. All right, with that done, what we're gonna do is take E3 here, and we've got J9, and that'll go through that slot in the bottom all the way through. And then we have C6, and that will plug onto the tab in the back, just like that. And then this will go into this big hole right here, just like that. Now for this hole, we're going to do exactly the same thing, but this time we've got E5, C7, and another J9. All right, this side was actually much more difficult to get in. That's got another one of those slot hooks over here to go around this piece. And of course, there's a little hole right here on both the back and front that you want to make sure line up. But it's in now and looking pretty good. All right. Then we're going to take E12 here, and that is going to go into this little slot right there, and it's going to hook in up top. Just like that. And we're going to do exactly the same thing with E9 on the other side. All right, look at that. It's wonderful. All right. Now with those in place, what we're going to want to do is take J17 and E4, and that little slot peg there will go into that slot. Just like that. And we're going to want to do that twice. Beautiful. And these, we're going to turn our thing around here, and they're going to go into the angled holes here and here. All right, there they go. Looking good. All right, coming back here, we're going to take E15 here, and that is going to go onto these two pegs right there. Help provide a little extra stability. We have E17, and that is going to go over here on these three main pegs. Bingo, just like that. And E18 here for right there. All right, should look like that. Now, we have 4 E10s, and you'll notice that E10 has 2 different directions. You're going to want to make sure the painted sides are facing each other for these corners, and the wide end is facing up. And we're going to put them into these 2 slots and then these 2 slots. All right. So it should look like that when you're done. All right, now we're going to take H18 here, and that's going to go on this side. Okay, here's where the water wheel is. So I'm just going to go on the opposite side of the water wheel, right over here. And you've got tabs all over the place that'll match with all of these holes. So let's get that in. Beautiful. That should hold things together very, very well. Now we have E11, and that's going to be for the other side. Same concept. Much easier to place though, as you can see. Now comes the fun. All right, we have H14 here, and we have our light beads. This is P15. Now to kick things off, what you're going to want to do is follow this down to the first light bead, okay? Holding it in this orientation, that first light bead is going to want to go underneath this. So that's what we'll do. Basically push this in and bring the cable into that slot. Just like that. And then we'll wrap it around all the way. Make us a little circle here. Bring it down and through again. Yeah. We're going to bring this over so that this light bead here is underneath this. And we're going to wrap it around again. Okay. So should look like this when you're done with the light beads right under these two posts here. Now, these two big slots are going to go into these two tabs here. But make sure that this switch cable is coming out because it's got to go into this little slot right there. In fact, I think I'm going to do that first and then I'll plug it in. All right, just like that. And of course, these lights will be hanging out. We'll find a place for them soon enough. And that, my friends, completes step 7. Alrighty, here are all the parts that we're gonna need for step 8. Oh, this should be fun. All right, first up, we're gonna take one E8. Make sure it's in this orientation, okay? And we have A29, that'll go onto these two tabs here. A30 will go onto this lone tab over here. Just like that. And then we have C11 for the 2 tabs and C10 for the lone tab. So you should have something that looks like this. Now we're going to do exactly the same thing with all the same parts, except this time instead of being like this, we're going to flip it over like this. So let's go ahead and get that done. And there we go. Now we've got 2 of them. Awesome. And now what we're going to do is pull out H8 here. And this is going to go in this tab this hole and this hole from underneath. Whew, that is a very tight fit. But we got it in, and now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. All right, there we go. Look at that. Now we have 2 H9s. And again, these are opposite directions, so make sure the painted side is facing outwards. And they're going to go from underneath into these 2 slots like this. Okay, so this gap is actually going to be facing the wide end. Much like that. All right, now I'm going to bring this puppy back out here. And these 2 slots right here, that is where these longer pegs will go. Oh, and then you've got this little T thing that'll hook up here. So this little hole for this tab here, and then the cross to catch it in place. So it will be attached at top and bottom, just like that. All right. Now, we're going to bring out H1. H1 is going to fit on top. You're going to want to make sure all 3 of these cables go through this big center hole. All right? And then you have a series of slots all around that should line up absolutely perfectly. Yeah, look at that. Okay, so looks like tab here, here, and then of course these 2 big ones here in the back, and all of your cables coming through that center hole, and you should be ready to rock. And with that in place, you're going to want to take 2 of these A13s and you want to bring them in from behind into these 2 slots right there. Okay, should look like that when you're done. And for a little added stability, we got these 2 round holes here. We're going to be putting in 2 of these P8 screws. Okay, so let's go ahead and get that done. All right, there we go. Should look like that when it's done. Awesome. All right, this next part might be a little tricky. You want to take your light beads here, you want to push them down through this hole. So it should go in like this. Make sure you can grab the other end because you're going to want to bring it back out. I'll show you where that goes in a bit. But for now, let's get all of these down in there. All right, should look like that when you're done. And then you're going to bring it all the way over, and in this little slot right here, you're going to want to hook it. All right, just like that. All right. Now that we've got that done, we can actually flip this over. And here, you can see there are little slots. And what we're going to want to do is take 4 more of these A13s and push them in through those slots. All right, so there's one. Now let me do the other 3. All right, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. All done. Very, very nice. Now we're going to take out P14 here. This is the USB-C adapter. Make sure the USB-C is facing outside, not this port. And that is basically going to go right there. Okay. Based on this image in the instructions, actually, even better. There are 2 little tabs right here and here. I know they may be hard to see on camera, but these little slots here and here, that is where those will go. So it'll make sure it's reasonably secure already. And now we're going to take 2 of these D2s, and that'll go over top and into these slots. Just like that. Look at that. All right, now we have 2 of these P10s, and those slots there are going to go around the supports we just put in, with those holes lining up with the holes on the bottom of the base. So it should look like that. And we've got 2 of these P10 screws here that'll go through those holes to hold it in place. All right, look at that. Spectacular. That thing's not going to go anywhere. All right, now we can flip it back right side up. Okay. And we've got the edges of our base. We're going to start with this puppy right here. This will be D23. It will go right here on the back so that the USB-C port goes into this hole, and these 2 tabs will be in these holes. All right, should look like that when you're done. On the front side, we have D24, and little burr there. There we go. 2 slots, 2 tabs, fairly self-explanatory. Just like that. And we have 2 D25s that will go on either side. There we go. Look at that base. Looks spectacular, doesn't it? All right. Next up, we have us F4. There is a painted side. It's slightly darker, but it's very difficult to tell the difference. That said, try to make sure the painted side for these are all facing the same direction. So F4 will face up, F5, we have two F5s. One will face towards the inside of this, and one will face towards the outside. Just like that, okay? Unpainted side, painted side. All right, with that in place, we also have two of these F13s, okay? And that big long center piece is gonna go into these holes. And in this case, you're gonna wanna make sure that the paint is facing the outside on both cases. Just like that. And now these tabs here and these four tabs here are all going to go into these 6 slots right there. Just like that. There we go. Look at that. And now we have J22 and 23 here. These are going to be the railings for the staircase. Make sure the painted side is facing outwards. And the feet are going to go into the 4 tabs on either side of our stairs right here in the front. And there we go. And that completes step 8, y'all. And based on the page numbers in the instructions, that is actually the halfway point on this build. We're already halfway done. How amazing is this? We've got this beautiful foundation, a functional water wheel, no motor, unfortunately. C'est la vie. We've got our base done, functional window shutters, though they are very, very, very tight. I wouldn't open them too much, but they are there. A functional door here on the back side. And of course, we've begun our electronics with the lighting and our hidden switch. Awesome. But I am going to have to call it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you next time. Have a great day.